one thing I didn't ask about, shoot, um, like you've got crazy chops, and listen, we talked about chops and that kind of thing and evaluating. It's not a question of that. It's a question I'm listening to you and how you're effortlessly going from low to high, with your lines, and you're not, you're making, um, how do I want to word this? There's different types of melodies styles, right? You got Coltrane where it's like a lot of arpeggiated things. You've got other people where it's more like melodic. Like I've been listening to Max Ionata a little bit, did a couple of email interviews with him and stuff. He's very like, not a lot of arpeggiation, a lot of like melodic kind of flowing things, but you're able to kind of do both. But the thing is that everything's smooth, even, and you're going from low to high, and it's funky, it's groovy, it's just really cool. I didn't get a chance to ask about, you were, I don't even know if you had like formal saxophone lessons per se when you were in school or anything like that, or did you have such great teachers in high
It
school?
wasn't until I had no lessons in school until I got to college. In fact, I never, I always would audition for all-state band. I never would make it because other students who had teachers would make all-state band. So I feel like I can identify with a lot of my students that are like just kind of behind, because I kind of came out of that where I was someone who loved music, and but I was just kind of, I had a good band director at first, so I got started okay, but I didn't know a lot of the things I should do. And so it wasn't until college. It really wasn't until later in college where I had my first college teacher was not that great. But then later on, I had a really good one, my last year, really. And so it wasn't till the end. And then at grad school, I had a great teacher, So I was a lot of just like trying to figure things out on my own. And so, yeah, I never made all-state band. So whenever I have a student that stresses about that, I'm like, hey, it's not the end of the world. I never made all-state band. And then not only did I not get accepted to UNO for grad school, I did not get accepted. I also auditioned at Rutgers, and I did not get accepted there. So I didn't get accepted to any grad school. And that was humiliating for me. But like I said, I was just behind, I never taken it. And so luckily they took a chance on me here, and I just wanted to move to New Orleans too. And so as I'm now judging students, I have to judge them to come to school, but I always keep that in mind. If someone I feel like they are a hard worker and they just started late, that's sometimes they not in the same place as others. And I try to also make sure that my students don't compare themselves to each other because of that same reason,
Yeah.
They're always, oh, so-and-so so much better. I'm like, no, you can't do that. They probably were playing they were playing Coltrane solos before you even picked up a horn, like this, you can't, we're all in different places. So my kind of humble upbringing, in a way, it's funny because when you said I had great technique and thank you for that. But I always thought that I did not have good technique. I was always fighting to catch up with the guys that did have good technique, So,
Wow. Okay.
and I do have things about now as teacher, I have, and actually, because I thought about those, I definitely have these philosophies of teaching technique and stuff. The main one being practicing slow. This philosophy, like if you slur, let's say you have a blip or something, if you play slow, your fingers move just as fast as if you play fast. The only difference is the distance between the movements is quicker, but your fingers still move the same speed.
Okay.
Like if you go from B to C, you still have to perfectly time it, right?
Yeah.
You have to move but if you do it super slow, the only difference is each movement just is a little more space between each movement. But you still move your fingers super fast. So that's why I use that to get my students to practice super, super slow. And I tell them that their fingers still move as fast. They're just not as many. And then, and then I have some other things that I have them do, but keep their hands on the sax. And I tell them, if you played it 10 times and you got it right the 10th time, that means you have a 10% chance of playing it right in the lesson. So they're always coming in and like, I had it perfectly. I'm like, okay, well, how many times did you play it perfectly. I know that's not a scientific thing, but so, and with the Altissimo stuff, yeah, I guess I've worked on it a lot. I think you had him as a guest, Ben Britton.
Yeah, I think
He,
it was
he
Nick that interviewed him.
yeah, okay, all right. So he had this thing about Altissimo, a suggestion of playing each note of overtones for a whole minute, and I took that on. I was like, I'm going to do that, and I did that for a whole summer. I played every day for my warm up. I played low B flat, and I'd play 15 overtones, 1 minute each.
Yeah.
So in 15 minutes, you're done. But man, that had effects on me that I was not prepared for as
It's
a player.
not easy to hold out. What people don't realize is when they're doing that overtone series, because as a trumpet player, we do this for slurring, right?
Right, yeah.
But the thing though is that if you go, ba, 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 if you just do each note for 1 second, you don't really own those notes.
Right. Yeah. That's great. That's a great way to say it. Yeah. And so a minute on each note, especially when you're up high, what you're really doing is you're learning the voice. You're really getting the voicing, and you're getting comfortable with that, that note. So after that and just other things, I feel very comfortable in the Altissimo, and that's a natural kind of part of I like a big full Altissimo. I don't like the screechy kind of bright Altissimo. I like to be kind of big. And so now there's that one song on my album, Dunce. It's got like a 4-octave crazy, and I kind of wrote that as an exercise for myself in a way, and I wasn't even going to record it because I was afraid it sounded too kind of modern, kind of weird, kind of edgy, academic. But I had so much fun playing it. But I played it every day for like years. I wrote that about, I don't know, 8 years ago. And I would play it every day. Just, in fact, I can't read it. I have to play it from memory because if I start reading it, I can't read it too hard. but and then it was an extra, and it's so just using, it was an etude in a way to see if I could play, because the melody it jumps 4 octaves, so it's very hard. But the process of learning it, because I never could find a etude that asked me to do that. So I just made my own, thing. There's a really good etude book. What's the that is out now that has a bunch of crazy skips. I can't remember the name of it.
Would it be something by Walt Weiskopf or something, or
no? It's Leaps and Sounds. Okay. Adam Larson.
Oh yeah.
That he has some of that, and so I have fun playing it because he has all kind of crazy octave skips and stuff. That's a really good etude. It's only got 12 etudes in it, but it's really fun. But back when I wrote this, that one now, I'm just gonna make my own kind of thing, and but I have fun playing it, But the thing about that too, though, what's important for me is that the solo part of it. I wanted it to be like a real down home blues, like 5/4. I didn't want any kind of like bebop. I wanted it to just be like a shuffle kind of blues. The idea of it is like how related that kind of blend those together.
Yeah.
I always loved Stanley Turrentine. And he's one of those that he doesn't seem to get a lot of respect as he's not talked about like people talk about Joe Henderson but to me I was like, man, listen to that sound, man, he sounds so good. It's like so soulful, and like I just thought he was like so great, and he was like one of those few people that until then I discovered all those other people, like for alto, for instance, like Hank Crawford. I mean, right. Oh my gosh, like this is so great, and realizing that the people that I love really loved Hank Crawford, but why didn't anyone tell me about Hank Crawford in school? They only tell me about Charlie Parker, which that's great, but Hank Crawford, I mean, geez.
He influenced Sanborn.
Oh, yeah, he was a big influence on Sanborn. The only reason I knew about Hank Crawford really is because I remember a downbeat probably from 30 years ago. They were on the cover together. I don't, but at the time I didn't have access to all his really good recordings.
Yeah.
Because he kind of went through it. The 80s stuff is like, it's okay. But his stuff from like the 60s in the early 70s. Oh, so good. It's so amazing. Hank Crawford, and like, but a person like, I got to play on, I'm on Maceo Parker's last record.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And hearing Maceo talk about Hank Crawford, we did a Hank Crawford. We did, da, 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 yeah, da, da,
Oh
what's
yeah.
going
Uh,
home.
yeah, I know. I heard
Yeah.
I heard it yesterday.
Yeah.
Not
Uh,
Sister Sadie.
no,
But
yeah.
yeah.
It's not going home. No, that's a Crusader song. Anyway, that song, we did that. And you could lived and breathed that song. He was talking about seeing Hank, just seeing him, like what he was wearing, and he just worshipped Hank Crawford, and it was like, wow, that, if that's how Maceo was reacting, and to me, Maceo was like the definitive funk,
Yeah.
oh, that I tell you, that was an experience doing that record, because
Oh
it
my
was at one
gosh.
point they're asking me to check my mic, for the recording, and he's sitting right in front of me. And so they're playing that song Maceo, Maceo. They're playing it and then asking me to play along. And he's sitting there. And like, to me, when I play funk gigs, which is a lot, I'm usually thinking, what would Maceo play? That's I'm just trying to play like Maceo. But you can't play Maceo in front of Maceo. And I started laughing. He's like, what's wrong, man? I'm like, I can't, I don't know what to play. If I'm playing this song, I'm playing you. And he's like, play yourself, man, do your own thing. And so I finally kind of got out of but it was kind of a life change. It was, in a way, though, I realized, like, what? I need to, like, what would Jason do? That's how it should be playing,
Yeah.
people don't, if they want to hear Maceo, they hear Maceo. So and I do, every now and then I'll do like these James Brown tribute things and stuff on alto, and it's fun, but it's hard not to want to just try to be Maceo, but
Yeah.
you'll never, but that wasn't quite an experience doing that record with you.